Today we're reviewing Pinot Gris, 40% volume. The winemaker is Brent Maris, who has a long history of making wine.
I've got another question for you, Rico. So, are white wines made with white grapes and red wines made with red grapes? They'd end up pretty drunk by the end of the night if they were a busy place. So how much mincemeat have you got in there, Rico?
Over a
How
kilo.
many aubergines here? Just now gonna fry off the potatoes. So that's the layer of aubergine complete, and now Rico's just layering the potatoes. So we've got 4 pints of milk in here, which Rico is warming up, and you've also got some Bayleaves,
Some cloves.
some cloves.
2-3 cloves.
So we've got 4 eggs in here, which Rico is beating just now. And all this adds to the flavour of the moussaka. So the flavour's not just sitting in the one layer, the flavours are all being infused in all the different layers of the moussaka. So that's the sauce so far.
Now we're putting on a light dusting of cinnamon.
Also adding some cheddar. So here's the moussaka. Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Andre and this is Rico, my husband. So we are here in our kitchen again for another wine review from Rico. So Rico, what are we reviewing today?
Today we're reviewing Pinot Gris. We talked about this in our first video when we opened the wines from the Wine Society. We explained that day that Pinot Gris and Pinot Grigio are the same grape. This particular Pinot Gris is from New Zealand. It's the 3 terraces from Waiope Valley, and it's 14% volume, screw top, and it's ready for drinking now.
So that's the label there, okay?
Yep.
You think it's about £8 you said,
Yes.
but we'll have the price and everything linked in the description box.
The winemaker is Brent Maris, who has a long history of making wines, but in 2003 he opened his own vineyard, Marisco Vineyards, in the Waiope Valley, which is in Marlborough, New Zealand, Southern Island, right at the north. And this particular Pinot Gris he makes exclusively for the Wine Society.
So quite a lot of the wines that the Wine Society have made exclusively for the Wine Society.
Not all of them.
Did you not review one?
Yes. The Wine Society have a lot of wines that are Wine Society wines. So they'll have the Wine Society Burgundy, the Wine Society Chardonnay from New Zealand, from Australia, we'll say, and they'll have various wines from around the world which are made for the Wine Society, but they put their own label on them and it says the Wine Society. But this particular one has their own vineyard, their own label on it. It doesn't have a Wine Society label on it.
Wait a minute, so this is made for the Wine Society,
Yes,
you said? Right, so you're saying you cannot buy this anywhere else but from the Wine Society? When you say...
Not in the UK, I would imagine.
But is it can you buy the wine with a different label?
Yes, let me just say something. 3 terraces, Waiope Pinot Gris, from the Marlborough, 2018, New Zealand.
Right.
From that vineyard is only labelled with this label for the Wine Society.
Right.
Okay?
So you can't buy it anywhere else?
Not in the UK. But they might have, the same winemaker might have another blend of Pinot Gris that maybe with a different label, slightly different wine that might be available in other wine merchants.
Right, but not this exact wine.
I wouldn't think so.
I've got another question for you, Rico. So, are white wines made with white grapes and red wines made with red grapes?
No.
No.
Red grapes can make white wine.
How does that happen?
Well, they do it with champagne. They use Pinot Noir, I'm sure it's Pinot Noir, and Chardonnay. And they press the grapes and they make champagne. But when they ferment the wine, they take away the skin so that the wine remains white. So if you're making a red wine and you press red grapes or the black grapes like Pinot Noir and you press them, when you ferment the wines you leave the skin in.
Okay.
Okay, but in a white wine, the white wine's fermented without the skin.
Oh, even if they use a white grape?
To be very honest, I'm not 100% sure, because some of these white wines can be a wee bit greyer or change in colour. So there might be a certain amount of the skin in darker grapes. They might leave a wee bit in just to change the colour. When I was saying that about champagne, that you use red, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, there are champagnes that are 100% white grape, and they're Blanc de Blancs.
White with...
So it's white grape only, it's a Blanc de Blanc, but I'm sure they do the same with Pinot Noir. They make a champagne which is totally Pinot Noir. There's no white grape in it, it's just red grape, but it's a white champagne.
Right, okay, interesting. Okay.
The other thing I wanted to say about was the pronunciation of wines. Some people maybe look at a wine and think, how do I pronounce that? This wine says Pinot Gris, that's how it's pronounced. Other people might say Pinot Gris, because they might pronounce the S at the end, but a lot of the last letters are not pronounced. But I don't think people should get embarrassed when they're in a restaurant and the waiter comes over and says, what wine would you like, and how you pronounce it. You just say number 8 or number 9 or whatever the on the wine list may be.
Alright, so if you don't know how to pronounce it, then you just say the number.
But not all restaurants put numbers, but anyway, never mind.
For the majority do.
Yeah.
The majority do, actually. With me working front of house, quite often people would mispronounce wines. And the only reason I knew them was because I work with them all the time. One of the most common, now it's funny how you say Pinot Gris, quite often we would get Pinot Grigio. Grigio, is that
Grigio, Pinot Grigio,
instead of Grigio.
Can I just add to that? I think a lot of the problem comes with French wine, because when you buy a Burgundy, a white Burgundy, you can have a Pouligny Montrachet. The wine is a Chardonnay, but because it comes from Montrachet, it has Pouligny Montrachet on it, so you're not ordering a bottle of Chardonnay, you're ordering a bottle of Pouligny Montrachet, if that's the correct pronunciation, which I think it is, with Alsace. I say Alsace, but the proper pronunciation is Alsace. They have the Z. There's one of the most famous wines is Gewürztraminer, which I cannot pronounce, but if I was in a restaurant and I wanted to order that Gewürztraminer, I would say Gewürztraminer, because I'm not embarrassed to say it. That's my pronunciation. I'm not French. I don't pretend to be French or be able to speak French. Now, if you go to a top-end restaurant, it'll be a sommelier that comes to take the wine order, and they normally have huge wine lists, and with the huge wine lists, they've got the numbers.
Right.
A sommelier is not a waiter, he's a master of wine. He knows about the wines. He will control the cellar in the establishment where he works with all the wines, the storage, the reordering, everything. So the sommelier knows the wine, will know the menu of the restaurant, what complements the wine, and so on. In the old days, I think the sommelier actually had a spoon. The sommelier didn't wear a suit or anything. He wore a jumper, and he had a spoon. That was the outfit of the sommelier, and he tasted the wine to see if it was okay before serving.
Okay, they'd end up pretty drunk by the end of the night if they were a busy place.
That was another era, another time.
That was the perks of the job.
But back to ordering the wine. So when you go to a restaurant, they have, most restaurants now, we're not talking top end, we're talking mid-range restaurants, will have management, will have their waiters. The person who takes the order will normally take the wine order. So if you say to them, I'll have a bottle of Gewürztraminer, they might not know how to say it either, and they might get confused. So that's why it's best to give them the numbers, then there's no confusion in what wine they're going to bring you.
Okay, so that's the wine of the day. So it's a Pinot Gris. So the meal of the day today is Moussaka, which is the proper way to pronounce it.
Moussaka.
It's quite often pronounced as Moussaka, but it's Moussaka. So these are the raw ingredients before Rico preps them.
We have some beef mince, a lot of the recipes have lamb mince in the moussaka, but we're going to use beef mince.
And because a lot of people expect, because it's a Greek recipe, that it would be lamb mince, but in fact you can use whatever mince you want to use, and you can even make it without mince, which you quite often do. You do a vegetarian.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got potatoes, aubergines, we've got halloumi cheese, a little bit of cheddar. We've got our flour, our milk, our butter, which we're going to make a white sauce with, and we have some oregano, and the two main spices are mint and cinnamon, dried mint and cinnamon.
Okay, so how are you going to prep your veg?
I'll peel the potatoes and slice them, okay, and that'll be the first thing I fry. I fry the potatoes off until they soften.
So you're kind of slicing them like
slicing them, yes.
This way?
Yes. Again, the last thing I'll be peeling and slicing is the aubergines so they don't discolour.
Right.
Okay.
And we peel the aubergines because we find there's a lot of people that don't like aubergine, and I used to do this with the boys when they were younger. If you peel the aubergine, you don't get that strong flavour, and it almost gets lost in the moussaka, and people don't see it and start picking it out.
I think the other thing with the aubergines we find here, especially up here in Scotland, the skin seems to be a bit thick, as opposed to if you nice fresh aubergines in Cyprus, the skin's very, very thin. So the last thing we'll be making is the white sauce,
and we'll go through that.
And we'll go through that at the time. But the first thing I'll be putting on is the mince. I'll get the mince on starting to cook, and at that same time I'll slice the potatoes. So
Rico has now prepped the potatoes, so you've
just sliced them,
peeled them, sliced them,
and given them a wash, get the starch off, and I'm just going to put them to
drain.
To strain. Yep.
And then you're just going to fry these potatoes.
Yes.
Rico's also grated the cheddar and the halloumi, which he's going to use on top of the white sauce. Potatoes are now draining, so we're just putting in the minced meat now into the pot. We don't actually add any oil into these pots. These are the AMC pots, so you don't need to add oil. You don't really need to add oil with mince because it's got enough fat in it, hasn't it? Just add in some salt whilst the minced meat is browning. What I would like to add at this point is, when you make moussaka, like all homes, they all have their own recipes. This is our recipe, and this is how my mum used to make it, and this is how Rico makes it. So how much mincemeat have you got in there, Rico?
It's over a kilo.
Over a kilo?
Over a kilo.
So that'll feed like a lot.
It's a big tray we're making, yeah. We always make a big tray.
We've got how many aubergines here?
7.
7? Nice, 7 aubergines. My goodness, that's a lot of aubergine. So that's the mince now browned. So you're adding some
mint.
What would you say, about 2 tablespoons?
Exactly.
Quite a lot. It depends again on your own tastes. If you like mint, add more. If you don't, but we like a lot of mint.
Some cinnamon.
Cinnamon. About a tablespoonful.
Not even.
You need to be careful. Cinnamon is something you have to be careful of because it adds bitterness if you put too much of it.
When we come to taste, then we'll add again.
Yeah, that's right. So when you taste it, if you feel it needs a wee bit more flavour, you just add more of whatever you feel it needs. It's just tasting it. I guarantee you will be adding more mint to this.
A little bit of oregano as well.
Some oregano. Oregano from Cyprus.
Teaspoon.
About a teaspoon.
Yep.
About 3 teaspoons of tomato puree. So basically Rico's tasting it now and just adding more herbs and spices. Now some red wine. So it's just going to allow the wine to cook off now. A carton of chopped tomatoes, about 390 grams to be precise. Just some stock cubes. So that's the mince more or less ready. It's just drawing in the flavours now, and while that's happening, we're just heating up, Rico's just heating up the oil to start frying the potatoes. Just browning off the potatoes now.
So there's the potatoes, they're just about ready. This first batch, I'm going to start removing them. And I'm going to put them into this here colander just to drain off the excess oil.
The baking tray has been oiled. he's layered his first layer of potatoes.
Yep. I'm just going to season it on the top of the potatoes. I'm just going to sprinkle some mint. More mint.
More mint. Just adds to the flavour. It just means that the flavours are going right through the moussaka as opposed to just all being in the mince.
Correct.
I'm going to lay all the mince now on these potatoes.
Yep. Spread it out.
And it's smelling like moussaka already.
You put the aubergine,
oh, that's right,
and then the potato.
So you haven't prepped the aubergines yet?
Not yet. I want to finish frying my potatoes and then I'll prep the aubergine. Okay.
So that's the aubergines that have been peeled, sliced, and Rico's now going to fry them. So that's just the same fat that you used for the potatoes.
First aubergine.
The aubergines, that's about how many aubergines there, Rico? About so far? 4 aubergines so far. It's just chopping up the next one. And what I will say to you is the aubergines do soak up a lot of the oil, so you'll need to heat up more oil. The other option is you can brown these in the oven, but you know, the traditional way is to fry everything. If you'd rather be more healthy, then you just slice your potatoes and your aubergines and just roast them in the oven and layer them. So that's the layer of aubergine complete, and now Rico's just layering the potatoes, the rest of the potatoes on top of the aubergine. Then you're just going to cover that with white sauce.
Yes.
Just going to season the potatoes just before adding the white sauce. That's just parsley you're putting on now. You don't want to season the potatoes because the halloumi is quite salty, and you're going to add halloumi to your white sauce.
Correct.
And then you're going to put halloumi and cheese on top of the white sauce as well. So we've got 4 pints of milk in here, which Rico is warming up, and you've also got some bay leaf,
some cloves, 2-3 cloves, and a few black peppercorns.
And that's just to flavour the milk.
Yep.
And you're just gonna warm that up.
Yes.
So he's frying the butter here just to add the flour to make a roux, and then he's going to slowly add his milk to the roux. So we're just adding the flour now to the butter, and this is how you make your roux. So we have how much butter in there?
There's about 6 ounces of butter.
And how much flour?
6 ounces.
So it's 6 and 6.
6 and 6. According to, if you look at recipes for these things, it's normally an ounce of butter to an ounce of flour to a pint of milk. But this is slightly more. The sauce is going to be a bit thicker because I'm going to add egg at the end as well.
What does the egg do?
The egg makes it rise and it makes it thicken. So, but when you put the egg in, it thins as well at the same time because of the whites that go in. So anyway. Do
you normally add egg to white sauce?
No, only when I make moussaka and pasticcio or macaroni di forno.
We've turned the heat down now so the roux doesn't burn.
Just needs a wee bit more flour. Just going to thicken it up slightly. That's us.
That's it. So now it's becoming a roux. Almost becomes dough-like, doesn't it?
Yep.
So what's actually happening here is you're cooking your flour. Now going to add the warm milk through the sieve. Why are you putting it through the sieve? Just to make sure that
to get all these things out.
Peppercorns and. So you're just going to keep adding the milk now, stirring, adding milk, stirring. Yes. So you just carry on doing that. So about 3 ladlefuls, stir, and then keep doing that. So we've got 4 eggs in here, which Rico is beating just now to put into the white sauce. This is the white sauce so far. See, that looks ready to me. So Rico's tasted the white sauce and he feels it needs more seasoning, so he's added some salt. We also like to add a stock cube in for flavouring. These are all the secrets that we like to add to the white sauce. And we're also going to add the halloumi to the white sauce. And all this adds to the flavour of the moussaka. So the flavour's not just sitting in the one layer. The flavours are all being infused in all the different layers of the moussaka. That's what makes a good moussaka. Just adding the stock cube now, just for that flavouring. Just adding the beaten egg now to the white sauce. Bechamel?
Yeah, bechamel.
Bechamel. That just looks perfect. No lumps, nothing. I could just eat that. That looks amazing.
Now we're putting on a light dusting of cinnamon, and then we're going to put the rest of the halloumi.
Also adding some cheddar as well. It's now ready to go into a preheated oven. Okay, that's the moussaka coming out now. How long has it been in for, do you reckon? It hasn't been in...
20 to 25 minutes.
It's just until the sauce browns, really, because everything else is cooked. The mince is cooked, the potatoes are cooked, the aubergines are cooked, so it's just until it browns and looks yummy and smells, oh my goodness, amazing. Amazing. We've left it cool now for about 10 minutes. You're better off letting it cool, and then you just cut into your slices. We're obviously cutting big slices.
Excellent.
Oh my goodness, it looks amazing.
So we have the Three Terraces Pinot Gris. As we said earlier, it's from New Zealand, screw cap, and it's 14%. Quite high for a white wine, yes. Well, Pinot Gris is a general rule. We talked about Pinot Gris and Pinot Grigio being the same grape. Pinot Gris, as a general rule, is a wee bit more complex than Pinot Grigio. Pinot Grigio is normally more light.
I thought it was the same thing.
It is the same thing, but when they make Pinot Gris, it's normally a wee bit more complex. Just normally, Pinot Grigio you identify with Italy. Okay?
Wait a minute, Rico. We spoke about this in the first video, and
yes,
you said Pinot Gris and Pinot Grigio were the same grape.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
But are they a different type of wine?
Well, Pinot Gris is Pinot Gris and Pinot Grigio is Pinot Grigio.
So they're two different things then?
No,
it's like saying this is a Sauvignon Blanc and this is a Pinot Grigio.
No, it's like saying you get a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. A Cloudy Bay from New Zealand is one of the top Sauvignon Blancs.
Right.
And then you get a Sauvignon Blanc from wherever. Pick from the very south of France, and it's a Sauvignon Blanc, but it's not wonderful. It's not as good as the one from New Zealand in flavour and...
But a Pinot Gris is a Pinot Grigio.
Yes, yes.
A Sauvignon Blanc
Yes.
is a Sauvignon Blanc. So it's the same
generally,
grape. It's the same
It's
grape.
the same grape, but when the winemakers make Pinot Grigio from Italy is generally quite a light wine. It's
Right.
a light drinking wine, but Pinot Grigios can tend to be
Pinot Gris.
Pinot Gris tend to be a wee bit more interesting, I would think, in my opinion. Okay?
You're confusing me.
No, it's not confusing.
You're confusing.
Let's taste the wine.
Right, you're confusing me.
First of all, like we say, we have been drinking a lot of Pinot Gris recently. We've had them from New Zealand, and we've had them from France, from Alsace, and we've been enjoying them. Now this is very nice. I get maybe a wee note of apple when I smelt it, and the taste is wonderful. It's a wonderful wine. It's got a lovely crisp finish when you taste
Which
it.
Pinot Grigios normally have.
Yes, so it's similar, but I think it's got just that wee bit more body to it, and it can handle all the flavours of this food. Okay?
Okay, would you like to taste your Moussaka?
Yes. Lovely. Just like a mama used to make it. Eh?
Really? Would that be my mama?
Yeah.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And it does go well with the Moussaka. Lovely. I'm trying to get the apple that you said. Cheers.